Hey, all you literary legends and luminaries. I'm Julie, and welcome to a special episode of Booksmart. Today's book is one that I wrote. It's a memoir called Riding in Cars with Dogs Because Cats Don't Travel Well. If you've watched Booksmart before, you know how much I love animals. 3 years ago, my cat Kippy died. He was 14 years old. I really struggled with it. It was the first time in about 22 years that I didn't have a pet in the house. It was just horrible. So I wrote about it. And then I started writing some more. And then I took many other pieces I had written, which I had more than I had anticipated, that centered around pets and my love of animals. When I started putting it all together, I realized that many of the significant events in my life held some animal connection, that I could write a memoir of my life from birth until the present through my love and experiences with animals. So as I was writing this memoir, I tried to find other books like it, but I really couldn't. Many essay books included an essay or two about pets and other animals, but that wasn't really the focus of the book. Memoirs about pets usually end up in the Marley and Me category, or a stray cat that changed somebody's life. But I couldn't find a published memoir that was doing what I was currently writing. So I thought, why not? As the third book I've written, I understood the tedious effort it took to get what I had written from Microsoft Word into the book I can now hold in my hands, a book I would like to share with all of you. So let me read my short introduction to give you a feel of my story. And I call it All Pets Welcome. Doggy, the first word I ever spoke, even though we didn't own a dog. In my baby book under my first year likes, Mom wrote animals along with bananas and TV commercials. My love of animals is configured in my DNA, much like my blue eyes or my flat hair. I was born with an obsessive adoration for the cuteness that kitties and puppies and bunnies and squirrels possess. Whether real or stuffed, or on television screens or in picture books, animals drew me to them like a lovelorn Montague to an ambivalent Capulet. Animals dictate my world, although I am not a farmer or breeder or zoologist. A lover, an admirer is all I am, for I figured out the secret, probably when I toddled around babbling doggy. The world is a much cuter place, a more forgiving place, and a less egocentric place when we share our space with animals, when we care for them and they care for us. They may also chew up mopboards, destroy carpets, whine incessantly, pout, demand attention, and occasionally cause allergic reactions. Animals teach us vital life lessons, lessons only they can impart. Calling me an animal lover is an understatement. So my memoir focuses on animals. You know I take the word memoir literally and seriously. This is not an autobiography of my entire life. I don't want to give away all my spoilers, but in my adult life, I had more than enough complicating and tragic events happen. I describe those in relation to animals, not developing those experiences in full because, quite frankly, I could write a separate memoir on many of them. I just want to get that out there because I don't want my readers to think that I value animals above and beyond everything else in my life, although my beloved pets are pretty high up there. It's just that the focus of Riding in Cars with Dogs is my love of animals, not all the other themes in my life. I'll save those for my next book. I've organized my memoir chronologically, although many chapters flash forward to tie into the chapter's topic. I lay the foundation for my love of animals through my stuffed animals and Barbies, a hamster I barely knew, a fish tank I barely remember, and our very first dog, whom we named Mikey. I was 4 at the time. A dog was better than a Barbie under the tree at Christmas, and that is difficult to beat. And then something happens with Mikey, which I'll let you read for yourself. Due to the loss of Mikey, I become completely obsessed with Care Bears. I was only 6 at the time, so give me a break. And here's my first ever Care Bear. I still have him. Little Grumpy Bear and I, we go way back. I did not torture my readers with all our adventures, but used Care Bears as a link from childhood to motherhood. When my son was born, his nursery was all Care Bears. When I was 9, we got Elsa. She was my sister for 10 years. Elsa is the center of those coming-of-age moments in childhood that lead into the angst-ridden teenage years. Let me read you a scene from a dog show that was held in my grandparents' town one summer when I was going into 5th grade. And it was just this small town pet show. As usual, Sister took charge, taking Elsa's leash with every intent of parading Elsa around in the competition. But after seeing all the little kids, many even younger than me, bowed out, she tried to hand me the leash and said, "You should do it." Mom, too, acted as if I should do it. I shook my head, frozen since I couldn't prepare. I couldn't plan. I couldn't come up with an alternative for every what-if scenario should something happen. What if I had to introduce myself or say something about our pet? What if I had to stand there forever and Elsa got bored? What if I messed up? I don't know what I could have messed up, considering this was a small-town park pet show with the only prop a table for the judges. People randomly stood off to the side in every direction, talking amongst themselves. I acted as if this was a toddlers and tiaras competition, although this was decades before I know about such pageants, yet I didn't want to make a mistake. I didn't want Elsa to lose because of me, especially when I thought she could win. I told Sister to do it. Because the competition was seconds away from starting, neither Sister nor Mom had time to convince me. I wish one of them had shoved me into the line of little kids with their pets, although then I would be writing a different story, one where they were mean and made me do it. So you will get to experience my first kiss, since Elsa was a witness to it, how Elsa rescued me from my older sister's puberty hell, and how Elsa secretly allowed me to become a vegetarian, at least during supper. And please don't send hate mail. We've always fed our pets more than just pet food. But one of the most important lessons Elsa taught me was when I was in high school, and when I was a junior in high school, and my American Studies teachers arranged for us to go to the theater to watch Schindler's List, which had just come out. So here's what Elsa taught me in relation to humanity. I wondered what would have happened to my mom and dad and sister and me had we been European Jews during that time. I would have been separated from dad immediately, perhaps never to know what happened to him. Mom, sister, and I would have tried to stay together, but would we have been able to? Would Mom's strength have kept us alive, or would she have crumbled, refusing to survive if that meant hiding in the sewers or lying under corpses? When I came home from school, I found Mom sitting in the living room drinking iced tea, her right leg flung over the arm of a rocker recliner. Before she could even ask me about the movie, I said, "What would we have done had we been Jewish during the Holocaust?" Mom placed her glass on the coaster. Without deliberation, she said, "We would have left long before they had a chance to round us up." My mother, so ready to move. Mom didn't like to go anywhere, not even to my grandparents' houses. We never went on vacation, yet she was willing to start a new life elsewhere, in a foreign land where she might not even speak the language. How? "Whatever it takes," she said, and picked up her lotion, rubbing it into her hands. We'd leave everything behind? I don't know if I was challenging my homebody of a mother or trying to rationalize within myself that whatever it takes meant whatever it takes. Stuff is replaceable. Our lives are not. I grappled with this statement, which came from a woman who clipped newspaper articles, who saved boxes of old family knickknacks like school patches and receipts, and who had kept her Beatles records in pristine condition. If she was willing to ditch all her stuff, that meant Grumpy Bear and Barbie were headed for the dumpster. Then I looked at Elsa, who was snoring on the living room floor in front of the windows, a beam of sunshine turning her gray hair to silver. Her fur rose and fell with every snore. Mom followed my gaze. What about Elsa? My voice was barely audible. We couldn't take her with us. Mom's tone lacked sentimentality, a matter-of-fact statement that offered no remorse if we had to face such a dire situation. So what? We just leave her? Panic rose from my stomach as if this fictitious scenario could happen to us tomorrow. You do what you have to do to survive. The reality of her words shattered my childhood fantasy that our beloved family dog was somehow immortal. I couldn't imagine having to make the decision to walk away from Elsa, just abandon her to die. My pitiful, juvenile version of Sophie's Choice. And that's when I got it, like really got it. People during the Holocaust were forced to make life and death decisions that affected their children, their parents, their sisters and brothers. I couldn't even fathom making such a decision about my dog. At least for the rest of that day, I put my pubescent pettiness in perspective. Elsa continued snoring, blissfully unaware. Sometimes I think we forget how powerful pets can be in the lives of children and teenagers. All the stuff they teach us, not just about responsibility and taking care of something beyond ourselves, but what they can teach us about humanity and compassion and empathy. Elsa obviously was not immortal. As much as I wanted her to be my flower girl when I got married, she died a couple years too soon. But right after I got married, and I mean right after we married, we got Ginger.
Speak. Speak.
I credit Ginger with giving me crucial skills necessary for when I had human babies, that pets can teach us how to become a better parent. Here's a part when my son was 3. JJ and Ginger had developed their own special relationship. I spent many mornings, afternoons, and evenings watching them play together. Inevitably, where one of us was, you'd find the other two. Maybe that's why they got along so well. I included both of them in everything we did. If we went to the Renaissance Festival, Ginger came along. They both favored the goats and chickens. If we went to the falls, Ginger came along. If we went to the vet, JJ came along. I had to leave Ginger at home when we went for ice cream. A toddler and a dog going out for ice cream is a two-person job, something I didn't realize until after spilt ice cream, messy faces and fur, and a sticky car. To compensate Ginger's exclusion, we brought home a small cup of vanilla for her to eat at home. When we were told that JJ, just shy of his 4th birthday, fell onto the autism spectrum, we were devastated and confused. Our online research led us to many parents who describe similar characteristics in their children: unaware of surroundings, lack of eye contact, and complete disinterest in the family pet. We saw none of those in JJ. We really clung to our son's interactions with Ginger as we navigated through the complicated and confusing spectrum that is autism. Here's a video when he was younger and wanting to play with Ginger. Ginger became my savior during debilitating panic attacks as my marriage grew more difficult and as I was dealing with other family tragedies. And then finally, when I was 31 years old, I got a cat after wanting one ever since I was old enough to remember. We named him Kippy, and we got the name from this.
Here with me now are Carrie Strug and her brother Kippy.
Ginger was almost 9 years old by the time we got Kippy, and here's a clip of Kippy playing outside with Ginger.
Kippy!
Kippy helped me survive the end of my marriage, even though I almost lost him in the process. Despite the heaviness at times of life's events, pets still bring a lot of laughter. Sometimes it's best to approach life like a Seinfeld episode, which I've tried to capture that sense of humor in my book, since I do try to laugh more in life than to cry or be angry. I desperately try to see the funny side of life whenever possible, even though it's difficult at times. Let me read you an excerpt regarding cat puke. And those of you that have cats, well, you completely understand why I would write a whole chapter on cat puke. Those climatic moments during This Is Us, ruined by the gurgle of an upset cat belly, like the sound of an alien about to pop from a human stomach. The worst sound in the world is that second just before the cat pukes, when the quiet house shudders with that prehistoric slosh from the bowels of hell, then the slap of vomit onto the hardwood floor. At least you hope it's the hardwood floor, not the carpet. Everyone wants to yell, not it, as the designated cleaner, but someone must cave. I prefer dry cat vomit, although it requires a bit of scrubbing. Cleaning up still warm cat puke turns my own stomach. Clorox wipes and carpet spray would be deducted from Kippy's allowance if he earned one. Animals invade every aspect of my life. I even write a brief chapter on teaching because animals do make it into my classroom, just not the kinds of animals I wanted. And then, as all pets do, Kippy died, which prompted the writing of this book. Obviously, within a pet memoir, there's much grief as we lose our furry friends, who are sometimes our best support in a chaotic world. As I was writing the rough draft of Writing in Cars with Dogs, I had to add a few more chapters because then we adopted Baby.
What? Can I help you with something?
And yes, part of the reason I named her Baby was from this.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Baby is the reason for my title. There was a memoir called Writing in Cars with Boys. I never read it, but I saw the movie Writing in Cars with Boys that starred Drew Barrymore. I thought my title fitting considering I write about Elsa riding in cars and Ginger going on trips and how much Kippy hated traveling. Let me read you a few excerpts from my chapter I named Barbie Car, which circles itself back to my beginning when I wrote about Barbie and her animal entourage that I played with all the time when I was little. The first time I drove my red Bullet, it released me from the doldrums of the monotony that sustains most of our existence. The little things, like waiting 13 seconds for the top to open or close, provided me with patience. A no-rush, no-worries attitude that is uncharacteristic of me. Every time I wait for the top to latch into place, I smile with nostalgia as I remember the end scene from the original A Nightmare on Elm Street, when Johnny Depp's long red convertible top closes on its own, now painted with Freddy Krueger's sweater colors, dirty red and green. Even my little side mirrors are reminiscent of Barbie's convertibles. At least mine don't fall out with use like hers. The past and the present collide, but not with the shatter they used to. It's as if the car exists unhindered by time, bringing me along for a joyful ride where the past can be present without longing or regret. And then we adopted Baby, a big dog who wouldn't disappear inside a car but sits up like a person. When she was a puppy, she could barely see over the ledge of the door, standing on her hind legs for a better view of her surroundings. Now she reminds me of Barbie's Afghan hound Beauty. Perfect posture, her head almost above the windshield. I must look around her now before I can turn. My Barbie car has become a catalyst for a change in perspective. It gives me something to look forward to every day, those extra minutes in the sunshine, careless moments that need not be rushed or scheduled. Such freedom has calmed me down. Perhaps sitting so close to the road has grounded me, yet without a roof over my head, it feels as though I'm in the clouds. Worlds have coalesced into the place I am with the place I long to be. They're one and the same. And now I have Baby to sit next to me. Yet I still had to add one more chapter for this little guy. Shakespeare made it onto the back of the book and is my epilogue. There's a lot more within my book. Pet cemeteries, allergies, bunnies, Christmas, career choices, and even some lions. I have a chapter about realizing where the fish on my plate originated and the threat of losing a little stuffed animal named Little Animal. I write about dealing with change, death, anxiety, puberty, motherhood, and divorce. Animals were such a consistent and integral part of my life that they show up everywhere, creating the best of times, yet helping me through the worst of times. If you are a pet lover, Riding in Cars with Dogs is a book you will relate to. It doesn't matter if you're a cat person or a dog person. I have a little of both in my book. I have captured the innocence of childhood, those simple joys that have such an impact on us, and then transition into more turbulent teenager times when the world doesn't make any sense, only to graduate into adulthood when you realize that life rarely makes sense. But it's the animals that help us navigate the world in which we live, even if our pets don't have the answers to life mysteries. They bring us contentment when we don't think it's possible and peace in the midst of chaos. To read Riding in Cars with Dogs, just click on the link below to order a copy of my book. I'd like to end with this, which is unfortunately so relevant in our turbulent times right now. It's in a chapter I call Cows Are People Too, which provides these short scenes of how, ever since I was little, I placed myself in an animal's shoes, or paws, or hooves, or feathers, to see life from their perspective. I take the reader through my guilt over a caterpillar killing, my love-hate relationships with zoos and circuses, and what I think about when I see cows as I'm driving down the interstate. I end the chapter with this more recent scene. It's the animal world that has the power to restore my faith in humanity. When a gaggle of geese lollygag across a busy street with a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit, both sides of traffic stop. We wait patiently as those feathered babies walk across, unaware of the traffic jam they might be causing. No one honks their horn. No one shouts. We wait as the line of ducklings pass in front of us, accepting such an interruption in our overstimulated, hectic days. I return to such moments when I watch the news and everyone hates everyone else. I want to scream at the television, but we all work together and let those babies cross the road. Why can't we compromise now? Thanks for watching. As always, my goal at Booksmart is to get a little bit smarter, one book at a time.